When you're buying a house in Canada, should you have a Bill of Rights to protect you as a homeowner? Well, the Liberal Party of Canada thinks so, as that is part of their election promise to address Canada's housing crisis. Hey everyone, welcome back to another episode of Bald Prairie Real Estate, where I educate you all about real estate. I put in a ton of hard work and time to put together what I thought was an awesome video all about the different parties' platforms for this election. And of course, the Liberals went and they changed their plan. So I have to go back on this video and update you. Now, they've got a ton of promises, and it sure feels like they went and took the NDP and the Conservative platforms and copied it, because a lot of the big promises are pretty much the same. It's kind of like in school when you board your friend's homework and he said to you, you can copy it, but just get a few wrong so it's not obvious that you copied it. So they've got some big election platform promises to address the housing market in Canada, but the one that I think is going to get people talking the most is their Homebuyer Bill of Rights. So that's what we're going to be talking about on this video. I'll link the entire platform below so you can check that out. But before we get into it, let's start off as we always do with another terrible joke. What's the longest word in the English language? Smiles, because the first letter and the last letter are a mile apart. If you have a terrible joke I can use in a future episode, put it in the comments below. A number of parts of the new and revised Liberal plan for the housing market is a ban on foreign ownership for 2 years. We're going to have a flipping tax for anybody who doesn't hold a property for more than 12 months. We're going to build 1.4 million homes. We're going to have a national registry for home ownership. Doesn't this all sound really familiar? So I don't want to get into it in this video. They straight up ripped off stuff from the Conservative and the NDP plan and put it in their own. So there's no point in rehashing and going over that. But their big one, I think the one they're going to talk about the most, is this Homebuyer Bill of Rights. And this is the one that I think, although people are going to talk about the most and think that it's going to be great and it's going to help homeowners, I think a lot of this they're not going to be able to enact because it's provincial jurisdiction. Real estate and property rights are provincial responsibility, not federal. So I'm not really sure how they're going to get some of this enacted. And a bunch of this already exists. It's law today, but they're going to campaign on it and it's going to sound really good. And then they're not going to do anything because there's nothing to do. The first thing that the Liberals are going to promise is that they are going to eliminate the practice of blind bidding. They're actually going to make this a criminal code offense, they're saying, to do a home sale this way. Now, I have a deep dive into blind bidding. It's not as simple as it seems. You wave the magic wand and boom, we're going to end blind bidding. It's not that simple. So if you want a more in-depth look, I'll put a link to that in the description and in one of these pop-up cards here. But the long and the short of it is there's more to a home purchase than just the purchase price. You've got possession day, inclusions, how the place is being financed, the conditions there. All of those play a major role in whether your offer gets accepted or not. So my question becomes, because they don't outline this very well, what is the criteria for blind bid? How much of this is going to be public knowledge to all of the buyers? So are we going to know all the conditions, how it's being financed, everything? Or is it just the price? Because if it's just the price, I don't think that's much more helpful to buyers. I guess it's a little bit more information. And open auctions, which I'm not sure if that's what they're wanting to go to. Again, they don't really outline how they're going to have real estate transactions happen when they remove this blind bidding process. But with the studies that I have read on open auctions versus blind bid auctions, is that the open auctions end up with higher final sale prices than the blind bidding process does. They want to ensure full price transparency and history of recent home sales. Now, I'm not sure if this is a mandate that home prices are going to be public knowledge or just a mandate that realtors have to give you the full list of recent sales or comps in the neighborhood. Well, if you want recent sale information, ask your realtor. They'll be happy to provide all the recent sales, the comps, that type of thing for you to look at. And if they're not, find a different agent who will, because I believe as agents, our job is not gatekeepers of information, but to educate and provide as much knowledge as possible for our buyers so they can make the most educated and informed decision possible. The other kind of side of this is if we're going to make sale prices information, there are buyers and sellers that maybe don't want the purchase price to be public information. This is a private transaction between two private individuals at the end of the day. Do they lose the right to that privacy? I'm not sure what they're going to do with that. It's going to be a requirement that all real estate agents inform all parties to a transaction if they're going to be acting on both sides of transactions. So the buyer and the seller have the same agent. This will be called double ending or dual agency. Guess what? This is already a law. All jurisdictions in Canada, there's a standardized form every provincial body has. If I, as a real estate agent, am acting for the buyer and the seller, everybody has to be informed, everybody has to sign off on that or can't do it. So they're going to campaign on this, that they're going after the big bad real estate agents like myself here. And so you are going to be informed. This already exists. You have to do this if you are acting for both the buyer and seller across Canada. There'll be a publicly accessible ownership registry. And this already exists essentially. If you go to any province's land titles, this is all public information. Who bought the house? How much they paid for? How much was their mortgage? Any liens, anything like that will be available on land titles. You pay your 7, 10, 12 bucks, whatever it is in your province, and you can pull that information on anybody's house. Now, I'm all for transparency, so I guess putting this all together in one site where it's easily accessible, sure, that's going to be a little bit better for the consumer. I think at the end, is this the biggest, most important thing we needed to do when it already exists? I'm not really sold on that yet. The Liberals are going to ensure that all banks provide all homeowners 6-month deferrals if they have a job loss or other substantial event. Now, okay, in light of recent events, this sounds like a great idea and it is going to help some people, but trust me, the banks don't actually want to foreclose on your house. They're going to work with you if you have a job loss, if you're getting behind on your payments. The banks don't really want to take over your house. They want to go through the court process, then have to get it cleaned out, then get it listed. There's a reason that less than 50% of homes that are in delinquency, that are late on their payments, actually end up getting foreclosed on. Banks just don't want to really go through the process. I guess extending people a lifeline, that is going to be a nice helping hand. I don't think it's the most pressing issue that needs to be addressed right now, though. The last piece of this homebuyers' Bill of Rights that the Liberals have planned is that they're going to require mortgage brokers to fully inform buyers of all available programs. I can promise you right now, the good mortgage brokers, the ones that you want to be working with, they're already doing this. They're going to be taking care of their clients because mortgage brokers get paid 3 different ways. When somebody buys a house, when they refinance it, or when they renew their mortgage. So those mortgage brokers, they're in it for the long haul with these clients because they want that future refinance and renewal business. They're going to put their clients in the right program for those buyers because they want them to come back and use them in the future. I haven't seen many people that felt they got ripped off or were not properly informed by a mortgage broker and then went back and used that same mortgage broker again for that refinance. So those good mortgage brokers, they're already doing this. I guess making it a legal requirement to do good work, great. They should already be doing that anyways. What do I think of this new and improved Liberal plan to address housing in Canada? I gave their first plan a D-. I'm giving this one a D+. The reason why there's only a little teeny upgrade in their overall score is, well, they just stole the ideas from the other parties. There wasn't really anything new in this that the other parties hadn't already talked about. And the remaining stuff that's in there is either stuff that I don't think they can enact because it's provincial jurisdiction, or it already exists. So they're not really addressing any major problems or changing much. They're going to talk like they are, but I don't think there's much substance, especially to this homebuyers' Bill of Rights. I just don't see how they get this done or make any meaningful change. Now, if you want to check out that first video right here, that's where we break down the Conservative, the NDP, and the original Liberal plan to address Canada's housing crisis. And talking about Canada's housing crisis, right here is part 1 of my series on what I'm calling Canada's housing crisis, talking in that first video about the lack of supply of homes in Canada and how it's pushing up prices. But as always, guys, thanks very much for watching.